All right, Shalawam Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalawam to Lek out there doing this work of faith and labor of love with true sincerity. Right, I want to get into a quick topic basically entitled, Your New Year's Eve is Bullshit, you know? Just getting into the mind frame and the origins of, New Year's, according to history, according to secular history. And we find that in the scriptures, there is no big thing, no great thing about New Year's, getting into it the way how people do nowadays, And, the way that people view it now today is just, oh, it's New Year, make your New Year's resolution or what you going to do better, drink, have wild parties, sex, and all this whole other type of stuff, when that's all the moral behavior going into the ways of paganism in these other nations, So I just want to dive into this, just give just a brief lesson and brief information, as I can't get into these facts here, all right? So, starting off in this article here, it's called it's from ancientorigins.net, and it says the ancient origins of New Year's celebrations. Right, on the first January of every year, many countries around the world celebrate the beginning of a new year. But there is nothing new about New Year's. In fact, festivals and celebrations mark the beginning of the calendar have been around for thousands of years. While some festivities were simply a chance to drink and be merry, many other New Year's celebrations were linked to agricultural and astronomical events. In Egypt, for instance, the year began with the annual flooding of the Nile, which coincided with the rising of the star Sirius. Like you have with the Sirius satellite radio or something like that. Where they get that from? Okay. The Phoenicians and Persians began their new year with the spring equinox, and the Greeks celebrated it on the winter solstice. The first day of the Chinese New Year, meanwhile, occurred with the second new moon of the winter solstice. So, different nations express their form of the new year different times of the year. And we can see now from today where they celebrate the New Year, what in the winter time, okay, as the Greeks did, as the Romans did. It's all Esau system, starting from the Greeks on down to today. So that's why we have the New Year's accordingly now as it is, But in ancient times, New Year's was technically during the springtime, but it wasn't in its form or fashion of how everyone is doing it now today. And just getting into just a brief explanation. I'm not going to read all this, but it gets into the celebration of Akatu in Babylon, and it basically gets into one false god having triumph over another false god. And in addition to that, you can see where it says in the second paragraph, it says, in addition to the New Year, Ataku celebrated the mythical victory of the Babylonian sky god Marduk over the evil sea goddess Tiamat, and served an important political purpose. So, this is all wrapped up in paganism. And we go to the time of the Romans, right? Because, matter of fact, let me pull a couple scriptures. Yeah, this is the book of Numbers 10 and 10. It says, also in the day of your gladness, in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your power. I am the Lord your God. So we know that we had a celebration of the new moon, which in turn was the new month, every single month. So in essence, would we celebrate a so-called New Year's? Yeah, but it's according to our customs. Just because we celebrated every the beginning of every new month, not in the fashion of how it's done today. We were to offer up with them sacrifices and blowing the trumpets and stuff like that to the Lord, so it could be a memorial unto us. And also the first day of the month, was the Sabbath. as well, getting into the new month, you know. So, but nowhere near in the scriptures you're going to see some big mass celebration for New Year's as you see it today, right? And a quick example, right? The book of Exodus 12:1, it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th month, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house." So what it's getting into is the starting of the Passover and the preparation for the Passover in the 10th month of the day, in the Salaki, in the 10th day of the first month, you know, in the beginning of the year. Nowhere in here does it mention the first day of the year being celebrated with some mass celebration and wilding out and revelries and drinking and sex and all of this, man, you know, because that's not a part of our customs. The revelings and different stuff like that, that's other nations. All right. And real quick, to bring out this is the book of Esther 3:8, which I bring out a lot. And it says, "And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws, therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them." So that was us, you know. We were scattered throughout the provinces of the Persians during this time, you know. And he said what? That their laws are diverse from all people. So the things in which we practice and the way that we act and everything was different from amongst all the people, you know, because the Lord made us a peculiar treasure unto him. So we stand out as wherever we're at. All right. So getting into this next part here, because now we're getting into the essence of how everyone celebrates today, you know, the so-called New Year. All right. Which stems from what the Greeks and the Romans. Okay. So it says ancient Roman celebration of Janus. So this is what you people are celebrating, right? It says the Roman New Year was originally corresponded with the vernal equinox. The early Roman calendar consisted of 10 months and 304 days, which shows you they were clearly off, with each new year beginning at the vernal equinox. According to tradition, the calendar was created by Romulus, the founder of Rome, in the 8th century BC. However, over the centuries, the calendar fell out of sync with the sun in 46 BC. The Emperor Julius Caesar decided to solve the problem by consulting with the most prominent astronomers and mathematicians of his time. He introduced the Julian calendar, a solar-based calendar which closely resembles the more modern Gregorian calendar that most countries around the world use today. And this is the calendar that, as it says, most countries around the world use today, even here in America. Okay, the second leg of Rome. All right. As part of his reform, Caesar instituted January 1st as the first day of the year, partly to honor the month's namesake, Janus, the Roman god of change and beginnings, whose two faces allow him to look back into the past and forward into the future. This idea became tied to the conception or transition from one year to the next. So this is an image of Janus on a coin, you know, with the Roman god. So this is what people are celebrating. You're celebrating and you're worshiping and you're honoring the Roman god, the Roman false god Janus. But it's all wrapped up in paganism. And when we dive into the scriptures, we know accordingly what the proper time or the season of when the new year should be, you know, which is around the springtime. Okay. So going back to this article, it says Romans would celebrate January 1st by offering sacrifices to Janus in the hope of gaining good fortune for the new year, you know. So this is what people do, decorating their homes with laurel branches and attending raucous parties. And this is all the customs of the Romans and the Greeks, them wild parties. This day was seen as setting the stage for the next 12 months, and it was common for friends and neighbors to make a positive start to the year by exchanging well wishes and gifts of figs and honey with one another. So what do people do nowadays? You know, they exchange well wishes. They talk about their New Year's resolutions, posting it all up on social media, stuff like that. So this is what this all dives into. That's fake and that's phony as hell for you to wait for a so-called new year to come for you to so-called make a New Year's resolution. You want to do this better, you want to do that better. You know, we supposed to grow daily in the spirit, man. We supposed to grow daily with things, not just because of so-called New Year's coming in. Now all of a sudden you want to do better, you know. And then what happens? What, a month or two down the line, people forget about their so-called damn New Year's resolution. So it's all bullshit, man. You know. So they started this year off by partying, and there was other things that are tied into what we're going to get into in the next article. But I want to bring out another precept real quick in the book of First Peter. First Peter 4:3. All right, yeah, it says, matter of fact, I start from verse 1. First Peter 4:1. For as much then as YAHAWASHI has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that have suffered in the flesh have ceased from sin, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of the Most High. So we're not supposed to live our lives according to the ways of you know, the everyday man, the ways of the heathen, because they all live for lust. You know, we supposed to be living in the spirit. Verse 3, for the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries. Okay, so this is what our people was doing, because they were living in the will of the Gentiles, walking in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, and banquetings. That's them wild ass parties, them orgies, and all type of things that they were doing, you know, in the time of the Greeks and in the time of the Romans. Okay, they are the pioneers of those type of things, man. You know, but that's not how we should be doing things accordingly, right? So I'm getting to this next article real briefly. All right, and so this is from unitedwithisrael.org, and it says, it's from January 7, 2015. It says, the Emperor Caesar celebrated the first New Year's Day by ordering a major attack on Jews. So the first New Year's Day, this first so-called New Year's Day that was celebrated by the Romans, they were slaughtering off our people, man. This is what you people are celebrating nowadays, man. For centuries, others in Europe and elsewhere followed suit, torturing and murdering Jews. So we were being viciously murdered off, man, you know? It's just like people celebrating Thanksgiving. It's the same thing. You celebrating the death and the massacre of our people, you know? Going on, it says, the ancient Romans originally dedicated New Year's Day to Janus, the god of gates, doors, and beginnings, for whom the first month of the year, January, is named. Janus had two faces, one looking backward and one looking forward and one looking backward. This is the source for the custom to make an accounting for the past year and to make resolutions for the one coming. So that's what it's all about. You looking upon things of the past year, you know, and you looking at things, and then for the new year you say, oh, I'm gonna do this better. That's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. You're supposed to consciously reflect upon your life and the things that you do so you can better yourself every single day. You know, because one wrong move could be your last move, man, you know? So it says, going on, among the 7th century pagans of the Netherlands and its colonies, it was custom to exchange gifts on the new year. Saint Eligius tried to put an end to this custom and other merriment that was common on New Year's Eve, which he deemed inappropriate, but to no avail. As Christianity spread, pagan holidays were either incorporated into the Christian calendar or abandoned altogether. That's why we have these so-called holidays now, man. Because, you know, these heathens taking into our customs, right? Matter of fact, that made me think of the scripture in the book of Psalms real quick. the book of Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked, the Most High said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, that thou shalt take my covenant in thy mouth? So they trying to declare our statutes of what we should celebrate according to our holy scriptures, our holy writings, man. You know, they incorporated all of that paganism, you know, into our way of life, you know, but through the form of Christianity. Okay. Okay, so where was I at? Yeah, it says, as Christianity spread, pagan holidays were either incorporated into the Christian calendar or abandoned altogether. By the early medieval period, most of Christian Europe regarded Annunciation Day, March 25th, as the beginning of the new year. After William the Conqueror, aka William of Normandy, became King of England on December 25th, 1066, he decreed that the English return to the date established by the Roman pagans, January 1st. Okay, this move ensured that the commemoration of, I read it verbatim, Jesus' birthday, December 25th, which was not his so-called birthday, all right? I went over that in the last lesson, would align with William's coronation, and the commemoration of Jesus' circumcision, January 1st, would start the new year, thereby rooting the English and Christian calendars and his own coronation. And also, during this time, in January 1st, this was considered the festival of circumcision, because when you count from December 25th, going December 25th to the 26th, 26th to the 27th, and you count like that all the way up to January 1st, that would be 8 days. So we know that it was a custom of our people, you know, according to the law, for the child to be circumcised, for a man-child to be circumcised on the 8th day. So this goes into the 8 days, and they deemed this as the festival or the feast of circumcision, which we have no such custom within the scriptures, you know, of celebrating the feast or the festival of circumcision. There's nothing like that within the scriptures. You know, we just circumcised the babies on the 8th day, and that was it. No whole festival about it. All right. And it says, William's innovation was eventually rejected, and England rejoined the rest of the Christian world and returned to celebrating New Year's Day on March 25th. And that's around, you know, between February to March. That's typically when, you know, the new year should start, when the flowers start to bloom and blossom and stuff like that, you know, more so, you know, March towards April, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But being that, you know, Esau changed the times and the laws, and we see from getting into, you know, the Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar, everything being switched up, you know, time is all out of sync, you know, and the earth is completely out of course, you know. So we just go off of it, the new year, according to the best of our ability, but not January 1st, all right? So I'm going to read this last part right here. Anti-Semitic origins, it says, in 46 or 45 BCE, Roman Emperor Julius Caesar established January 1st as New Year's Day. Unfortunately, Caesar celebrated the first New Year's Day by ordering a major attack on Jewish forces in Galilee. Eyewitness accounts say that blood flowed in the streets, man. So there was literally blood flowing in the streets from our people being slaughtered for Esau, you know, as being the Romans at that time, slaughtering us to celebrate their day, man, to celebrate their day. Okay, this is not for our people, man. But our people don't know this history, and they don't care to know this history. And they don't think that it applies to them until this day, but it does, man, because this was your people. This is our people, all right? Sometime later, Roman pagans began marking December 31st with drunken and immoral gatherings. They believed that this was a reenactment of the chaotic void that existed before the gods brought order to the cosmos. And this custom that they did, as they said, as a reenactment of the chaotic void that existed before the gods brought order to the cosmos, this was they adopted this from the Greeks, because I forgot what it was called, but it's kind of a long name. But the Greeks adopted that custom, you know, for their New Year's, and then the Romans took it over. just like with every other gods that were so-called gods that were before them, they adopted those false gods and changed the names of them, you know. So, this is just a brief lesson, getting into, this New Year's and, the falsehoods of it and things like that, man, because, our people got to know, what they're into, what they're actually celebrating, and this whole New Year's thing is bullshit, and it's delved in nothing but paganism, wickedness, and the slaughter of our people from the times of the Romans. And who are we still under today? Now the modern the modern Romans, the second leg of Rome, okay? And they slaughtering us off year after year after year. It doesn't technically have to be on a day, New Year's Eve, but they're keeping these things in remembrance to let the people know what was going on. We keeping these things in tradition. All their wickedness, they're keeping this in tradition, man. And we supposed to be celebrating righteousness in tradition year after year after year, So with that, I hope this segment was edifying. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, the Bawanas to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and SHALAWAM to the elect out there doing this work of faith and live with love, truth, sincerity. SHALAWAM.